Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're digging into one of the real giants in networking infrastructure, a name everyone knows, Cisco Systems. And the big question we're asking is Cisco Systems a good time to buy right now? Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts, please do remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you have a company you'd like us to take a look at, drop it in the comments too. We really do look at those suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Cisco, the sources we've looked at, they paint a really clear picture. We're seeing incredible financial stability, that's undeniable, but also this big strategic push towards software and subscriptions. Plus, we've got the technicals, the price action up to, mid-September 2025? Kind of the classic investment puzzle.
A puzzle. Yeah, rock solid company trying to find that next gear. So let's start with that foundation. The fundamentals. Cisco is, they're practically the plumbing for corporate networks globally.
Yeah.
Huge leader. Yet, fiscal year 2025 numbers. Total revenue, $56.7 billion. Okay, big number, but up only 2% year over year. Why so sluggish for such a dominant player?
Well, that 2%, it isn't really a surprise when you look at the broader picture. It really reflects two main things. First, the hardware industry itself is, mature. Growth isn't explosive anymore. And second, there's just a lot of macro uncertainty out there. Big companies are maybe putting off huge spending projects. Cisco's own forecast kind of backs this up. They're guiding for flat to maybe low single-digit growth for fiscal year 2026.
Yeah, so you're not buying it expecting the top line to suddenly rocket upward.
Exactly. That's not the story right now.
Okay, I get the maturity point.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is how profitable they stay, even with that slow growth.
That is the other side of the coin. That's where Cisco still shines. Despite that slow top line, net income was, $12.2 billion, their net margin, holding steady around 21.5%. But the number that really jumps out, considering the competition they face, is the gross margin. It's still incredibly strong at 64.7%.
64.7% gross margin.
Yeah. Think about it. They're up against companies like Arista, HPE, constantly trying to undercut them on price. Maintaining that kind of margin shows real pricing power and probably very high switching costs for their big enterprise customers. It's just too painful to rip Cisco out.
That operational efficiency, that pricing power, it leads right to the balance sheet, which frankly looks almost too strong. End of FY 2025, they had $24.1 billion in cash in short-term investments. And debt, only $8.9 billion total. That's a debt-to-equity ratio around, 0.24? Super low. It's like the ultimate safety net. But you have to wonder, with all that cash, are they missing opportunities? Why aren't they maybe putting it to work more aggressively to drive growth?
That's the key debate, isn't it? Is it prudence or a lack of compelling options? You could argue maybe they don't see huge transformational acquisitions or internal projects with massive ROI right now, but the market definitely sees it as a positive, a huge cushion, and they do use it for shareholder returns.
Right, the dividend and buybacks.
Exactly. Look at the free cash flow FCF. It hit $15.5 billion in FY 2025. That's enormous. That massive FCF pretty much guarantees the dividend, even if revenue stays flat for a while. The dividend's running at $1.60 per share annually. That's a payout ratio of about 40% of net income, roughly. So very secure.
Secure, but maybe not a high-growth dividend story.
No, definitely not high growth. It's about stability and compounding. Safety first seems to be the priority there.
Okay, so foundationally solid, super strong balance sheet, great margins, secure dividend. But like you said, stability doesn't necessarily drive the stock price way up. It seems kind of stuck. So if the base is so strong, why isn't the stock moving much? What's the strategy to break out of this slow growth mode?
The main play, the big strategic push, is all about recurring software revenue. They're leveraging that stickiness. We talked about the high switching costs. It's hard to leave Cisco once you're deep in their ecosystem, so they're using that position to sell more software subscriptions. Things like cybersecurity, hybrid cloud management, stuff that brings in recurring revenue.
And is that working? Is it moving the needle?
It is gaining traction. We saw that subscription software is now around 30% of their total revenue for FY 2025. And that 30% number, that's actually really critical when we think about valuation.
How so? Why is 30% so important?
Because if they can get that mix, say, closer to 50% over the next few years, the market might start looking at Cisco very differently. It could trigger a fundamental re-rating of the stock.
Re-rating? You mean the market would value it higher, give it a better multiple?
Precisely. Right now, Cisco trades like a stable, maybe slightly boring hardware company. That forward PE is around 14x earnings. Pretty standard for its type. But pure software companies, especially those with recurring revenue, they often trade at 20x, 25x, sometimes even higher multiples.
Ah, I see. So the real upside potential isn't just from squeezing out a bit more revenue growth.
Exactly. It's from convincing the market that it's becoming more of a software business.
Yeah.
That's where you could see significant multiple expansion. That's the whole growth narrative they're trying to sell.
Makes sense. But that transition is where the risk lies too, right? They're the leader, sure,
Yeah.
but Arista is nimble, eating into their data center share. HPE is always there. So successfully growing that software fast enough to offset potential hardware margin pressure, that's the challenge.
Absolutely. It's all about execution on that software pivot. And now there's another huge factor thrown into the mix, AI. AI infrastructure is the massive catalyst across the whole tech sector, and Cisco's positioning itself right in the middle of it. They know AI needs fast, secure networks, so we saw some big AI-focused announcements from them just recently in September 2025.
Yeah, like the secure AI factory. Sounds a bit like marketing jargon, but what does it actually do for their business?
It's more than just branding, I think. It's about integration. Essentially, Cisco's saying, look, all this AI data needs to run securely and efficiently across your network. We manage that network. So the Secure AI Factory aims to use their network visibility to provide AI-powered security and analytics, turning the network from just pipes into like an intelligent layer for AI operations.
Leveraging their core strength for the next wave.
Right. And they're also pushing AI into their collaboration tools like WebEx, trying to make them smarter. And one stat that really caught my eye from the sources, Cisco reported that something like 78% of IT roles now require AI skills.
78%. Wow.
Yeah, it shows how much they believe AI is permeating everything, and they want to be the underlying infrastructure for it. It's internal focus and market positioning.
And they're putting money behind it, too. There was that small cybersecurity acquisition back in August 2025. With the secure AI factory push and all that cash on the balance sheet, it does make you wonder if a much bigger AI acquisition might be on the cards eventually.
Speculation is definitely there. Could they do something transformational? They have the firepower.
Okay, so there's this strategic ambition, this AI angle.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to the stock price. As of September 19th, 2025, it was trading around $68.21. Given the solid base and the potential future, why isn't the stock, taking off? What do the charts say?
Well, the technicals really mirror that fundamental story of stability, maybe even stagnation. Low volatility is the key takeaway. The stock's basically just been trading sideways for a while, kind of stuck in a fairly tight range.
What kind of range are we talking?
We're seeing pretty solid support down around the $64 to $66 level. Buyers seem to step in there, likely attracted by the dividend yield and perceived safety. But on the upside, resistance looks quite firm between $69 and $71. It's struggling to break through that ceiling.
So it's above key moving averages.
Yeah, it's trading just above both the 50-day and 200-day simple moving averages. That usually suggests a mild bullish bias, technically speaking. But there's just no real momentum. Volatility is low. Traders don't seem convinced of a major breakout either way right now. It's stable.
And that lack of excitement seems reflected in what analysts are saying, too, kind of mixed signals.
Completely mixed. It really captures the dilemma. You've got JP Morgan, for example, keeping a neutral rating, target at $71, basically saying, yeah, it's fairly priced for what it is, safe but slow.
Okay.
But then you had Barclays downgrade it to hold back in August, and their reasoning was specific: macro headwinds and limited hardware upside.
Directly hitting that core business concern.
Exactly. How much pricing power do they really have if companies pull back spending? We also saw some minor, pre-planned insider selling, nothing too alarming, just executives exercising options, pretty normal stuff. But yeah, if you look at social media chatter, investor forums, it all boils down to that same debate. Is the dividend safety worth the lack of growth?
So if someone listening is trying to decide on Cisco today, what are the absolute key risks they need to weigh? Beyond just slow growth, let's get specific.
Okay, number one is still that macro exposure. If the economy really slows down, enterprise IT spending is often one of the first things to get cut back. That hits Cisco's core directly.
Right, cyclical risk.
Then there's the execution risk on the strategy itself. Several layers here. One, can they protect those fat 64.7% gross margins? Competitive pressure, especially in hardware, is relentless. Any erosion there hurts the bottom line.
What?
Two, the hyperscaler threat. Big cloud players like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they're increasingly developing their own custom networking gear. If they move away from Cisco significantly, especially for their AI buildouts, Cisco could miss out on a huge chunk of growth in the data center market. That's a major risk.
Being bypassed by the biggest customers.
Potentially, yeah. And three, just the overall execution of the software pivot. Are they integrating acquisitions well? Is the new software actually getting traction fast enough? If that 30% software mix stalls or doesn't accelerate, then the whole rating story falls apart and it probably just stays a low-growth dividend stock.
Those risks really underscore why the next few months could be important. You mentioned catalysts. Q4 earnings are coming up soon, right? October 15th.
Absolutely crucial. That Q4 release and the subsequent guidance will be closely watched. The market wants to see evidence that AI-related sales are actually picking up. They want management to clearly articulate how they'll accelerate that software transition.
Any positive surprises there could maybe break it out of that range.
It could be the catalyst, yes. If the numbers and outlook are strong, especially around AI and software growth. Also, keep an eye on the institutional holdings data that comes out in December. That'll show if the big money managers are buying into the AI story and increasing their positions.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We've got the strong financials, the dividend, the strategic shift towards software and AI, but balanced against that is the slow growth, the margin pressure, the execution risks, and those mixed analyst views. Where do we land on an overall investment thesis rating?
Looking at everything, balancing the positives and negatives, we came out with an overall rating of 6.5 out of 10.
6.5. So better than average, but not a screaming buy.
Pretty much. It's not deeply undervalued given the risks,
Right.
but it's not wildly overvalued either. That forward PE around 14x feels reasonable for the stability it offers.
Yeah.
Ultimately, who is this stock best suited for? Probably a long-term investor, someone seeking steady compounding and that reliable dividend income, maybe an anchor in a more volatile portfolio.
Not really a trader's stock, then.
Not really. Given the low volatility and that clear resistance overhead, it doesn't look that attractive for short-term plays right now. It's more of a buy and hold for stability kind of name while you wait to see if management can really execute on that software and AI transformation.
Okay, so for you listening, here's a final thought to consider as we wrap up. Cisco was clearly betting heavily on things like the secure AI factory and being the network backbone for the AI revolution. They have a cash, they have the market position, but will their strategy of tuck-in acquisitions and internal software development be enough to fundamentally change the growth story and earn that higher valuation? Or, despite all the effort, is Cisco destined to remain what it largely is today? A super stable, reliable, but ultimately low-growth dividend payer. A safe harbor, perhaps, but maybe not the ship that catches the strongest winds. Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this look at Cisco Systems. We'll see you next time on Investing Talk Podcast.